All right. Dichotomy of leadership. Chapter 2. The leader's paradox. Own everything, but don't do everything. Micromanagement kills missions. Build leaders below you. Your job is to make yourself less necessary. Accountability without control. You own the outcome regardless of who made the call. Empowering through standards. Set the expectation, train to it, then trust your people and do what, Aaron? Verify.
Trust and verify.
Know when to step in. So I thought, this was a pretty good chapter.
Yeah.
It really kind of brought it all together, right? All the way from how he started his career as being the go-to guy or the do it all myself, and thinking that that's taking responsibility, extreme ownership, right? And then realizing how limiting that can be. And I thought his perspective, when he allowed his team to go out and start to develop their own plans, how like just the added perspective from those other team members created better solutions than he was gonna come up with on his own, right? Talked about innovations and different ways of doing things. So that's what spoke to me the most. And then also just how his first attempt to, I will call it delegate, he was hands off, and how it was too hands off, right? And then the guy in charge was slipping, and shit was getting out of hand, and then it ended up becoming an issue when it was the day to hit the beach at 6 a.m., right? So that was
I didn't listen to the end of that. What happened when everyone was late and it was stalling? Really?
Yeah.
The practice mission, they blew it. They didn't show up with the right size paracord or whatever it was, tubing. And he was embarrassed for his team. So he set him straight, let him know, and then it never happened again. But he realized he should have stepped in and course corrected, I think.
Like a couple days back.
Rather than just stay totally hands off. I like how this book is kind of coming back to the first book and saying, okay, well, we realized afterwards that we need to get into this a little bit more, and we need to dig into this and kind of define it. Because in the business example, the CEO is smothering his people, being part of every little decision, and killing their ownership by taking it all on himself, So you can do too much either way.
Yeah, I think the CEO example was him thinking that extreme ownership meant he had to stay embedded, right? And he missed the point, the bigger picture. Came the bottleneck.
Good morning.
Morning.
Sorry, right as you guys were starting there, I got a phone call and had to grab it before we got started. And at 9 o'clock, I'm gonna have to make sure I jet because I got a little meeting thing to jump into. So
Nice. No worries. Well, we just covered the extremes of both ends of Jocko's leadership foray, right? Went in, did everything himself, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna let my guys do it," and he watched them fail.
yeah,
So, what did you get out of this particular chapter?
just being balanced, again, I mean, and Aaron said it last week that we're going to see this theme a lot through this particular book because that's all what it's about. It's about being balanced. And it's I'm sure it's hard as a leader. I've been in the branch before as an assistant branch manager, as a warehouse manager, and when you bring somebody on board, you have to kind of, do some of that micromanaging to teach them how to do things, but then you have to know when to let go and let them go do it on their own as well, so that they can take some of that and it can be kind of that decentralized command where you're able to see that bigger picture. But you can't be that just kind of sit back and just let everybody do everything all the time. You got to show them that, you can still get down and dirty with it. You can still, coordinate and do things and show them the bigger reason why if things are happening. And if you don't do those things, then like in the book when they had they were practicing on the boats and all that, and leading up to that, it got real slacked off and they started forgetting things. So it's just finding that balance. And every situation, every job, every company, they're all going to have a different balance because it's all unique. So it's just finding that middle point where things don't teeter one way or the other too much.
Yeah, I think the Aaron's topic of trust but verify, right, plays into that.
Yeah.
Like, you got to trust your people, but you also have to verify that shit's getting done. It's getting done right. And it is a judgment call at times to say, okay, I need to have that conversation, right? Or I need to jump in and be a part of the team. They're two different that's what I'm looking for. Two different ways of dealing with two different problems, right? It's like you said, sometimes you just need to get in there and show that it can be done. Because just telling somebody it can happen doesn't always mean, doesn't make them believe it. But if they see it happen, then they go, okay, yeah, it can be done, right? And then sometimes it's just, hey, I noticed you guys are showing up with your street clothes on. It's time to get serious here. It's not how we show up. So, two different ways of approaching a problem. My favorite is everybody wants to be an exception, but nobody wants to be exceptional.
That's true.
I don't know why my video and audio keeps tripping out. But anyway, the other part in the book when he was talking about talking to the manager or the CEO, whoever it was of that company, and the CEO came to that realization. He goes, I'm suffocating them. And that's a great way to think about micromanaging, because you really do, when you micromanage, you suffocate them and they can't breathe. You got to let that team breathe to be able to expand and like grow and be able to figure things out on their own. And it's like almost like that living organism. And if you don't let them breathe, it's not going to survive.
Yeah, I think he talked about his first time realizing he had to delegate to his other teammates, right? I think there was 4 of them, and how once he did that, the solutions that they came up with were much better than what he could do all on his own, right? Because you're tapping into a bigger, more perspective. So, like you said, it doesn't mean it's all willy-nilly, but if you don't let people get out there, I mean, we all learned a lot of what we've learned through trial and error. There's always been some training, like we got trained to do something, we were taught how to do things, but a lot of us it's trial and error. Like, you don't get good by watching somebody else do it. You get good by doing, right? And the first time you go do it, it ain't gonna be pretty. You're gonna make mistakes. And so it's important to remember, like, once you start to give responsibility and you let people take it, that you can't beat them up for every little problem or every little mistake, because A, they're probably already beating themselves up about it. And B, like, what were you perfect the first time? No, we were all born babies, right? Grant says,
Takes reps. You got to have a lot of reps.
I think it's important to let people go off on their own and like do something without having the direct supervisor like hovering over them. I know that like it's always is you let the person go and bump their head against the wall in their own little zone, and then they come back. It's kind of what we do. We come back and check in on it, and that lets Sean or me or whoever go do something else while someone else is figuring something out. Like Jared's in there figuring out ag tech. He's got time to kind of like, I mean, I know he's got all these deadlines, but he can sit there and start to develop his system. Sandy's over there doing the same thing with HubSpot. We've all got our things that where we go, we have our meetings, and then we go whoosh, and we shoot off, and we sit there. And then if we get into a situation where we need help, we can always go back and say, hey, here's what I'm running into. But the learning process does take root when you get to sit there and stare at something and start to use your own problem solving skills.
Mm-hmm.
That's an important part, at least for my process.
yeah,
Just like be able to go and stare at it like a math problem. You just like look at it, and like, I don't know. And then you start chipping away little pieces at it and doing this. That didn't work. Oh, here we go. Got it.
I feel like ever since I started working in my years of brief life, every job that I've had so far, such as this one, and I'll compare it to my last one, the hotel, 99% of the things that I had to do on my own, I had to figure out. I had to stare at it and be like, okay, what's my judgment on this? How can I get this concluded?
Yeah.
And if I ran into an issue, then I would ask questions. But I'm happy and glad that none of my leaders have been like on my ass for me to do things their way, because I feel like that doesn't give you much room to learn your own method, your own way of doing things. Sometimes maybe you will learn something better and have to go, Scotty.
yeah. Thanks, Scotty.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Bye. I feel like what did I say?
Doing it your own way, finding your own
Doing it
path.
my own way, finding my own path. That's the best way of learning. Because sometimes maybe Aaron's step-by-step method doesn't work for me, but then if he shows me his way, then I can figure out a way to do it my way.
I think, he talks about it, understanding the destination, right? Definition of done. Like, okay, this is the definition of done. Yeah, we've got some SOPs and things, but like, some people want to walk a circle clockwise, and that's the only way they can walk. It's the only way their brain works, right? Somebody else is going to go counterclockwise. So you can't get too bent on the exact direction or the exact how. It's okay, we need to get to the goal, right? Mm-hmm. And everybody has a little different way of looking at things. And it's easy to get frustrated with each other when you don't see it the way, I'll say it like, you don't see it the way I see it. I'll be like, I get frustrated, right? And I'm sure everybody does the same thing, but it's important to step back at that point. Okay, again, the communication is the key, right? And that discussion loop. So, what is it that I'm trying to explain that they're not understanding because I haven't presented it yet in a way that they can see it? And then, you know, how do people see? Like, you know, I'm a pictures guy. Give me some crayons and some paper and let me see it. Some people don't need that. I do. Show me, don't tell me.
Just like for you listening to the book works, I listen to it. It's like nothing. Literally nothing. My brain goes south and then the book is here and then all of a sudden my thoughts are like in Disneyland and then I come back to reality and I'm like, oh, I'm listening to a book. And then I'm like, okay, what are they saying? And then I have to go back and listen to it again.
I have to be doing a mindless task or else I will start thinking about other stuff. If I'm trying to do,
Like if I'm on a walk, that cannot happen.
yeah, that's where
That works for you, right? Yeah.
I cannot. If I'm walking, oh my God, if I see a tree, I start looking at it way too much.
Well, that's good though that you've recognized it, because some people, you know, like they literally got to read the page. I don't. I'm just, even in school, I remember I was very auditory, and I would get reprimanded for not doing the things that they were expecting me to do. I'm like, yeah, but I'm listening to you. I can hear you. So awesome. All right. What else? So what could we do better?